Nidhi madam, you can start.
Yes. So I warmly welcome Professor Anamik Shah sir for accepting our invitation for this Good Course webinar series. And now I invite my colleague Dr. Paulomi Sen Gupta, who will be carrying forward the schedule of the event. Dr. Paulomi, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I, Paulomi Sengupta, on behalf of Industrial University, warmly welcome you all to the Guj Coast sponsored webinar series, Opportunities in Chemistry and Biological Science for Indigenization in India. This is a collection of 6 webinars which will focus mainly on transforming our scientific ideas into startup organizations. Basically, these are the small steps which can lead to a self-reliant India. In this series, today we are very lucky to have our distinguished speaker, Professor Anamik Shah, the Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Vidyapeeth. He is a very accomplished chemist. Sir will be happy to know that we have BSc as well as MSc in chemistry. We don't have our, I will introduce the panelists to you right now. Today we are missing Dr. J.S. Yadav, who has a hospital emergency for his family. But we are having Dean SOS, Dr. Bharti Dave ma'am, Dean SOE, Dr. Amish Vyas sir, Abhinand Pandya sir, Dr. Namrata Rajaj ma'am, Dr. Nidhi Gaur ma'am, who is the coordinator of this Guj Coast webinar series. And we also are happy to have Dr. Jayaprakash Reddy sir and Dr. Ritu Chaudhary ma'am, our colleagues, as the panelists. But before we proceed with the speaker's speech, let me tell you the rules of the webinar. Questions and comments are to be written down in the chat box, which the speaker will address after the session. And we will start with the introduction of our university and university to the speaker. Dr. Amish Vyas sir, Dean SOE, will do the honor. Amish sir, please introduce our university to the speaker.
Thank you, Paulomi madam. Shashwat, do we have our presentation, please? So I would like to welcome one and all to a very interesting webinar for today. The title itself is very interesting, and I would like to thank Professor Anamik Shah for the same. Orchestration of collaborative research efforts between academia and industry. A very needful, very timely title, and the case which we would love to know from him, and especially the lessons to learn from some case studies. So I am very eagerly waiting to hear from the Professor Anamik Shah sir. But before that, I would like to give you introduction about the Indrasil University. Next slide, please. So the Indrasil University has been established in loving memory of CMD, Dr. Rajiv I. Modi, loving memory of his parents. Dr. Rajiv I. Modi is CMD of Cadila Pharmaceuticals Limited, one of the largest privately held organization company, pharma company, having its presence in more than 90 countries with more than 10,000 employees. And the name of university is after the name of his parents, Indravardhan Ambalal Modi and Sheelaben Modi. Dr. Sri Indravardhan Modi, who is more widely known as the medicine man of India, where he started manufacturing affordable medicines for the countrymen of India. So the next slide. So this is what the success milestones of our Indrasil University. In 1951, Cadila Pharmaceuticals Limited has been established, and it was started near Bharuch, Hansot village, where in one room Sri Indravardhan Modi and his wife Sheelaben Modi has started. Sheelaben Modi was the first employee of Cadila Pharmaceuticals Limited, and from there the journey started, and today it is one of the largest privately held organization. In 2016, Sri Saraswati Education Sansthan, under which the education initiative has been initiated by the CPL, Cadila Pharmaceuticals Limited. And in 2018, Indrasil University has been confirmed by the Legislative Assembly of the Gujarat under the Private University Act. Indrasil University is the first life science university in India, and you can see the credential of Indrasil University that within a year only we could achieve the AIC ISC Foundation, that is the Atal Incubation Center, that was awarded by the Atal Incubation Mission of Niti Aayog. And this is a flagship startup and entrepreneurship incubator program, which was started in 2019, and later in 2019-20 financial year, that is in the March 2020, we have been awarded with the Student Startup and Innovation Program by the government of Gujarat, where under the banner of Indrasil Innovative Foundation we have started. So it shows the 360-degree perspective platform for the students at Indrasil University. Next. So just to start with our mentor for Indrasil University, who is right now the provost of Indrasil University also, Dr. J.S. Yadav. One of the leading scientists, organic chemist of the India. He is a mentor and director of research at Indrasil University, former director of IICT Hyderabad, Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Fellow Award winner, at the same time JC Bose National Fellow Award winner, and recently he has been awarded with the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Indian Chemical Society, having 150 plus patents on his name, 1400 plus publications on his name, 250 plus PhD students, the number is still growing on, and more than 27,000 citations. So it is just a very brief about Dr. J.S. Yadav. He is, a moving encyclopedia for the organic chemistry. Next, please. So this is what the reason why one has to prefer Indrasil University. There are 5 pillars to choose the Indrasil University. One is academic excellence, looking at the faculty and academic ambience, academic curriculum, academic activities. We are having academic excellence. Industrial exposure, that is the second pillar, where we are having very strong tie-up with the industries. No doubt under current COVID-19, we are going virtual, but in future it will be again there, and our students will be in the industry, and no doubt parent organization CPL is always there with us. Internship and placement, because of industrial exposure, it is a very but obvious that we are having very good internship and placement activities at its place, and internship is a very helpful activity to get the placement of the students. 360-degree development of the students, as I said, we are having all kind of platform available at the university itself, where students can explore their skills, can come up with their ideas, and can make it true. Global education standard, yes, we are following the global education standard, and at the same time we are having tie-up with very good well-known universities of USA and Australia. Next, please. So what Indrasil University offers? We are offering two programs rather. One is the School of Engineering, under which BTech Computer Science and Engineering, BTech Mechanical Engineering, BTech Chemical and Biochemical Engineering. PhD is but obvious there. Under School of Science, we are having BSc Honors in Chemistry and Bioscience, MSc in Chemistry, Animal Biology, Microbiology, plus PhD. And as I said, international collaboration, we have dual degree program with Sacred Heart University, USA, under which this is specifically for the computer science and engineering program, under which students has to study 3 years at the Indrasil University and 1 year at the Sacred Heart University. So by paying only 1 year fee at the Sacred Heart University, student will be getting the international degree. Tuskegee University, USA, and Newcastle University of Australia, where we are having another tie-ups. Next, please. So regarding the facilities available at the Indrasil University, you can see the NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance, a very few state university and no private university is having such a costly, that is worth rupees 3 to 4 crores, is available at the Indrasil University, and student can use it, and it is also available for the industrial consultancy, industrial testing, and we welcome one and all to use this facility available at the Indrasil University. Next, please. So this is what the MOU industrial academia linkage is, and we are having very right topic today also, that is with the academia and industry linkages. Next, please. Startup and entrepreneur support, we are having two, as I said, AIC ISC Foundation, and another is the Industrial Innovative Foundation. AIC ISC Foundation, where you can get the funding up to 2 crores, and Industrial Innovative Foundation, where you can get the initial funding of 25,000, and later up to 2 lakh rupees funding is available. So we welcome all the students having innovative ideas to just propose it to the Industrial University under any one banner, and we will be there to nurture your ideas, to provide you all the resources from the mentor to the equipment, instrumentation to the industry people. So everyone is available to all of you. Next, please. So this is what I told about the incubation center at Industrial University. Next, please. So if you want to reach us, there are different ways to reach us. One is through the website Industrial University. Second is AICISCfoundation.org. Third is admission at industrialuniversity.edu.in, and you can also reach by the mobile connection 6359102727. We have our presence on the social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram also. So I invite one and all to use to take benefit of all the facilities available at the Industrial University. Thank you. Saswat, next.
Thank you, Amit sir, for introducing our university so well. I now invite coordinator of this event, Dr. Nidhi Gaur, to introduce the Guj Coast webinar series. Please, Nidhi ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Polami, for giving me the opportunity to speak about this very useful Guj Coast webinar series. The webinar series is entitled Opportunities in Chemistry and Biological Sciences for Indigenization in India, and it is very relevant in today's context, wherein our Honorary Prime Minister has appealed to all of us to create an Atmanirbhar Bharat. There is increasing need to become self-reliant in all the sectors, and it is also now the responsibility of scientists to realize their own role towards society and strive to convert their research ideas to applications which could generate more and more employment. Hence, learning objectives of this webinar series is to create an awareness among the students and the young scientists about the opportunities present in chemical and biological sciences and its future scope. It is expected that the webinars given by the eminent scientists in this webinar series will be very helpful in getting guidance on how to set up the collaboration with industries and other academic institutes and have an interdisciplinary approach, and also learn importance of creative work environment wherein innovative ideas are always welcome. So one of the most important aim of this webinar series is the students and scientists should learn how to convert their ideas to proof of concept and finally use it for commercialization and make products that can be launched in market. So more importantly, it is expected that this webinar series will instigate interest in setting up startups and motivate the audience to take their research a step forward towards building up new innovative technologies and to be a job giver rather than job seeker in future. So in this context, this webinar series will have webinars by most eminent scientists who have also accomplished themselves as entrepreneurs, and they will guide us about the startup opportunities which are present in India, inspire us since they will be like role models for us. And we are very fortunate to have Professor Anamik Shah as the speaker for today's webinar series, as he is live inspiration on how an academician can be a successful entrepreneur as well as successful administrator. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation. And thank you so much again. Dr. Palomi, please proceed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nidhi madam, for nicely introducing the necessity of a webinar at this moment. We are just one step away from the expert session. Before we start with expert session, we have to introduce today's the very accomplished expert. So for that purpose, I would like to invite Dr. Bharati ma'am. She is Dean SOS to do the honor. She has spent quite a good amount of time with Professor Anamik Shah as a colleague. So she will be the best person to introduce him. Please, ma'am.
Okay, so very good evening to all. I welcome Professor Anamik Shah as a speaker for this webinar. I welcome all the panelists over here, all the students, faculty and scientists who are attending this webinar. So as such, if you go to see, Professor Anamik Shah needs no introduction, a person who is most popular among the chemistry fraternity of Gujarat and India as well. And more so, he is attached to the heritage and you can say a historical Gandhian University, that is Gujarat University, where he has served as a Vice Chancellor for 2 consecutive years and is still continuing as the Vice Chancellor. If you see Gujarat Vidyapit, it had been established by Mahatma Gandhiji in 1920. And if you visit Gujarat Vidyapit, just outside the Vice Chancellor's office, I have seen there is the first resolution which has been handwritten by Mahatma Gandhiji and which has been framed over there. He was the Chancellor of the first Chancellor of Gujarat Vidyapit, if I'm not mistaken. So I know Professor Anamik Shah since the days he was doing his PhD and he used to frequently visit the Department of Chemistry at Bhavnagar University. He was pursuing PhD while we were in our MSc. So after his PhD, he's joined as lecturer in Department of Chemistry at Saurashtra University, Rajkot, from where he rose to the level of professor in chemistry. And it was that university, Saurashtra University, which has given him a chance to serve, to rise, to scale the heights of chemistry as a subject and to become the Vice Chancellor. So he has been instrumental in teaching organic chemistry over there, medicinal chemistry, environmental chemistry, and pharma analytical chemistry. So besides all his academic pursuits, he is one of the professor in the National University System to work on several academia, industry, drug research in India, which very much the National Education Policy says to us at present. He has partnered with various industries like Alembic Limited, Dabur Research Foundation, Claris Life Sciences, AstraZeneca, Nicholas Pyramidal Research Center, and Zydus Research Center, to name a few. But if you see to his noteworthy contribution, just a few years before his retirement as professor at Saurashtra University, he has established a center of excellence in drug discovery at Saurashtra University at Rajkot, the very first in Gujarat, which has been funded by Department of Science and Technology, Industries Commissionerate of Government of Gujarat, and a notable contribution from a philanthropist of Gujarat, Sri Dipchand Bhai Gardi. It is a center where you have scientists, researchers, academicians, and faculties who want to carry out any type of drug research over there, having all these sophisticated, you can say super sophisticated scientific equipments, which have been housed in that center. Besides all his academic and you can say these research pursuits, he is a person, as I have noticed him all these years, with exemplary leadership qualities, be it Research Scholars Association when he was a research scholar way back, Teachers Association, he has fought for the rights of the teachers, and now he's serving as Vice Chancellor with one of the leading Gandhian University, which is Gujarat Vidyapit. He's also the president of Indian Society of Chemists and Biologists. On assuming Vice Chancellorship at Gujarat Vidyapit, he has completely transformed the science department at Gujarat University, be it chemistry, be it microbiology, be it any areas of science. If we see to his research credentials, they are none the less than Professor Yadav, you can say. He has guided a number of PhD students, about, you can say, 70 to 75 PhDs. He has more than 250 publications to his credits, a number of patents, you can say, and the list is endless. His contribution is endless. So looking to his expertise in academia, you can say industries collaboration, I think the topic of his talk that he's going to give is very pertinent at present. It is orchestration of collaborative research efforts between academia and industries, and he would be narrating the lessons that we need to learn from his several case studies that he has conducted during industry-academia relationships. So with this brief introduction, I would now request Dr. Poulomi Sengupta to invite Professor Anamik Shah to deliver his address, and for which everybody is waiting for. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for so nicely introducing the speakers today. So we are finally at the time where we can hear from the accomplished veterans guest of honor today. So, sir, you have been an academician for all through these years. You have seen many students. Our students are eagerly waiting to hear from you. The dais is all yours. Please proceed with your talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much for very descriptive introduction of mine, Bhartiben, and all faculty members who are at Industrial University. Being a part of Industrial University, I have visited a few times in some of the meetings in the Board of Management and others. And I am very happy to share with you that Cadila Pharmaceuticals and Indravadan Bhai and Raman Bhai. In the time of both, I have visited Ahmedabad many times in the pharmaceutical companies and had a long association with the parent organization, as well as now, due to Professor J.S. Yadav, with the Industrial University in last few years. I was very much wondering when I was invited what to talk about this time. Because in last few webinars, I was talking about vaccines and vaccine developments and what are the type of vaccines are going on. But this time I preferred, because the topic which was given by the Industrial University was opportunities in chemistry and biological sciences for indigenization in India. See, we as an Indian, we are very good in the solo, but hardly we are very good in the orchestra. And we know that in European orchestra, more than 500 people, they are tuning with each other. And in India, particularly in academic institutes, it is very difficult to have an orchestration between a chemist and biologist, a chemist and pharmacist. And similarly, when the organization comes, then there is a big gap between the orchestration, between the R&D chemist, between the process chemist, between the person who are taking the technology transfer, and between the chemist as well as production chemist, as well as chemical engineer. So I specially utilize the word which is known as orchestration, which is very much required in today's world. So it is not on the individual scale, but we as a chemist, as a biologist, as a bioinformatics, molecular biologist, biotechnologies, bioinformatics, we are good as a one, an individual. But the time has changed in last few decades. And if we are not collaborating with each other, then we are collapsing. The entire research system, entrepreneurship, innovation, R&D drive, and therefore I think that it was very interesting to talk particularly on this. Now, in my last 32 years experience, there are a number of things which has happened. And if you go to the past history of our country, then we have to look everything in the historical perspective. So in next few minutes, I would like to show some slides, and this slide can be shared with the people who are participants, and it is open for them. So I will briefly summarize what I want to speak on this occasion. So I would like to go for the first slide, and I request Next one. See, let us go to the historical background. American Chemical Society started Chemical Abstract Services in 1907. And in the same year, Alembic Chemical Company has started in India. But even before Alembic Company started, there was Bengal Chemical Work, which was started by Acharya Praful Chandra Roy. And we know that Acharya Praful Chandra Roy was one of the best chemists India has ever produced. And when Gujarat Vidyapith was established in 1920, Gandhi has not invited any saint or any religious person. He invited Acharya Praful Chandra Roy because he was also a social scientist and he was believing in Prayog, and therefore his autobiography is known as Experiment in Truth. So Bengal Chemical started there. On other side, there were few presidency colleges at that time where biology, chemistry, botany, and physics, mathematics, the pure science branches were developed, and we have very stalwart professors at that time. So the foundation stone of chemical science, biological science, physical science were very much, and many chemical schools then started at various locations. In next phase, CSIR laboratories have started, and they were both available in pre and post-independent era. So we have regional research laboratories, we have some CSIR labs, and after independence, Dr. Bhatnagar, Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar. We know that Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar was one of the person who has spearheaded, and within a span of few years after independence, he started several CSIR laboratory at different locations at the same time. And so much so that Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel has to say that I want technological and science development at the Bhatnagar speed. So this was what the contribution for indigenization and self-reliance started much before than we thought of today. Between 1971 and 1995, the pharma companies, manufacturing companies, and many others have gone for the much development in the production. What was the reason? The reason, important reason was that in 1971, in the Indian Parliament, the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi has passed the amendments that anything which is related to human health, animal health, or it is related to agriculture production, we are not going to abide by the patents law which are prevailing in the rest of the world. So between 1971 to 1995, there was a tremendous growth, and because our state universities, our few central universities, our CSIR labs, they have wonderful people, wonderful mentors who have trained our generations and generations for developing the technology, developing the processes, developing the short routes, and developing the alternate route of the patents, and sometimes copying the patents, so that we have several industrial estates which have started manufacturing the bulk drugs, active pharmaceutical ingredients, intermediates, key starting materials. But after 1995, the things have changed. We have entered into global scene, and we adopted globalization, and therefore the patent law came to us, and from 1995 to 2005, the patent law, then the black box applications and many other intellectual property right related things has happened in our country, and the scenario has entirely changed. And we know that during the same period, the parallel work, particularly in the China, has been so tremendously done that China has started competing us in the intermediates, in key starting materials, in the bulk drugs, in the active pharmaceutical ingredients, in many other areas. And because of the scale and because of the government policies and because of the non-democratic country, they have certain advantages. And these advantages were totally disfavoring our atmosphere. So during few years, there were many closures of small and medium intermediate companies, manufacturing companies, small and medium pharma enterprises, and we are looking up at the import of cheaper substituents and cheaper active pharmaceutical intermediates, and we became dependent on China. So overall, we can say that around 60% of our active pharmaceutical ingredients, even today, as well as more than 50% intermediates and key starting materials are coming from China. And in current situation, it may be routed through the different countries, but the situation has not changed. And this is a very challenging situation, and therefore today's topic, which is very important, that how we can do and we can create the opportunities in chemistry and biological sciences, which will ultimately lead us to the indigenization in India. How may we become the self-reliant? During my 30 years experience, I have worked with multinational companies on projects. I have worked with Indian companies. I have worked with other collaborators in biological science, in chemical science. And in next few slides, I just want to share with all of you the experience and some case studies, which will be important to understand that how things are going on. Let me also say that during last few years, we have several innovation-driven companies in chemical sciences, in biological sciences, in biotechnological sciences, in vaccines, in production sites, and many other things. But as far as research molecules are concerned, and from A to Z, linkages is concerned, we are very weak even today. So we can say that we are not working as an engine of a long train, but sometimes our companies, our individuals, our scientists, our institutions, they are working as a one of the compartment in the long train of innovation chain. So suppose there is a 50 long compartments in an innovation chain. We have compartment number 5, compartment number 15, compartment number 39, but not the engine. So the things are not realized properly by our policymakers, our own setup, our own strategies, and therefore we have to go for the re-strategizing our entire policy so that we can challenge the global scenario in a way in which we wanted to. Next. See, how many areas are there, particularly in the chemical science and some of the biological science. Since I am from the chemistry side, I have favored many of the topics which are mentioned here. They are from the chemical science, but we can also list out similarly on the biological science also. So new chemical entities, intermediates, modified routes for the key starting materials. As I have said, it is the challenge to the China. Contract manufacturing, on research front, then route of synthesis, economical viable routes, process chemistry, green route, green chemistry, clinical research organizations, catalysis or no catalysis or recycled catalysis, chemistry labs, chemical engineering work, pilot plant operation, scaling up operation, new synthetic routes, quality by design, large and tall and giant plants to the smaller plants and workable plants, particularly in the area of flow chemistry and diagnostic kits and diagnostic equipments, and similarly medical equipments. These are the area where enough opportunities are there. I know that few of my previous students, they are in the industry and they are creating wonders, particularly in recycling of the catalyst of the precious metals, and they are challenging the companies which has a control over last few years on recycling of the catalyst, and they are now competing with the European companies and other other multinational companies, and they are doing wonderful job. So these are the few areas where we have a very good chances for indigenization. Next, I will just share with you a very important slide. We are talking about innovation, entrepreneurship, startup, and many other things. Now, this slide is a very monumental slide where Dr. Susila Nayyar, our former Minister of Health and Freedom Fighter, is next to Gandhiji, and the young person who is there is Y.K. Hamid, the chairman of CIPLA, and on his right hand side, it is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So in 1935, when CIPLA was started in Mumbai, Gandhiji specially visited CIPLA, and the below written sentence is that I was delighted to visit this Indian enterprise. So it was the visit of CIPLA where Gandhiji signed as M.K. Gandhi, and I think that even before CIPLA, when Alembic started in 1907 and Bengal Chemical, indigenization has already started in India with the Tatas, with the many other entrepreneurs from the Saurashtra region, from Gujarat region and rest of the India. Next. Now I'm coming back to the current situation where I have given the example of the train. Now, if you look at the last 15 years or 20 years data, and which was produced by a very good consultant, European consultant who visits India several times, Dr. E. Differding. During the personal communication, what he said that the Indian companies which has worked with the foreign multinational companies, the output which we can enter into this is more than 25 research collaborations are there, 71 publications are there, 60 patents are there, and there are 60 novel chemical families. Next. Next. You can just see that this is the major collaboration. Previous slide. So this is the Indian companies on right hand side. On left hand side, you can just look at the companies which are the foreign companies or multinational companies. They have tied up the research collaboration with the different Indian companies like Jubilant, Torrent, even Zydus Cadila, TCG, Advinus, and many other companies. who have worked on certain targets, biological targets, some pharmaceutical products on different issues and different segments in the health sector. Next. Now, as far as our country is concerned, we can see that what is the academic and institutional framework. One of the best model which we have seen so far is the Institute of Chemical Technology, which has produced Professor M.M. Sharma, was the pioneer in establishing this. Then Dr. Maselkar was there. Then Dr. G.D. Yadav was there in the hierarchy. And the best part of Institute of Chemical Technology was there. Most of the teachers were doing industry consultations, and the salary of the consultancy income of each teacher was 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, 25 times more than what the salary was given to them. So this was a unique model, and it was developed due to several efforts from Professor Maselkar, Professor M.M. Sharma, and there was a particular type of what we call it a specific type of continuity in all these years, and this is the model which any academic institute should look at, that how to do collaboration with the industry, do solve the indigenous problem of our country, and to achieve the receivables in the form of consultancy or royalty or whatever it is. We have several other examples of CSI laboratories, NIPER, ICER, IITs, Indian Institute of Science, and on other side also, the indigenization in the Indian subcontinent was started much before what we are supposed to understand. With the entry of Dr. Homi Bhabha, we have a total indigenization plan for the atomic energy. With Vikram Sarabhai, we have a space program. With Abdul Kalam, we have a missile program. So all these institutes like ISRO, like Department of Atomic Energy, or you can say that Department of Earth Science, and many other institutions, building development, which has taken place all these years. Even communication, we know that we have done tremendous well in the communication front also. Similarly, IPCL and petrochemical, ONGC, these are all the models of indigenization, where we have taken the help of the foreign countries, but ultimately the technology were developed by the Indians. And if you look at the people behind the show, we can appreciate that most of these people were not trained in the foreign countries. Those masters, those doctorates, they were from the state universities, they are from the central universities, they are from the individual colleges, where they have trained and they have worked very well under the top intellectual leadership like Bhabha, like Vikram Sarabhai, in National Chemical Laboratories, in Indian Institute of Science, in many other institutions. So this is how the things that developed over the years in our country. Next. Now, I'm coming back to the topic, and particularly you can just see the few Indian companies: Alembic, Claris, Dabur Research Foundation, Piramal Research Center, Ranbaxy. These are the companies with whom Saurashtra University, we work together, and over and above that, we also worked with DuPont, we worked with AstraZeneca, and we worked with Merck, and the things and story begins from the 1990, when University Grant Commission was giving no fund to the state university or very meager fund. We have a good number of doctorate students who were working for their PhDs, but there was no chemicals, no money, and therefore the then head of the department, Professor A.R. Parikh, he decided to collaborate with the DuPont and Merck, and during that period, we started working with a very humble laboratory atmosphere, only few glasswares, only condensers, and round bottom flask, and started our working and making newer and newer molecules, very small molecules of 2 steps, 3 steps. And then we started negotiating with these companies. So from $50 to $250 per 100 milligram, we were getting the amount, and this amount was collected, and we built one beautiful research laboratory and simultaneously a seminar hall and a physical research laboratory by the money of DuPont and Merck. So this was the beginning of the technology which we were knowing, and we were doing work with them. I remember that during this sales of these molecules and supply of these molecules in 90s, between 90s and 2000, we earned approximately 40 lakhs rupees. And this 40 lakhs rupees has given us so many good laboratory equipments as well as laboratory and seminar hall. In next phase, when multinational companies were working with us, few Indian companies came forward that we are ready to do project works with you. So we approached Department of Science and Technology. We started with the Alembic Chemical Works, and few things have started, and collaborative work has begun from a state level small group of Saurashtra University with the other companies. Next. So you can just see that this is the chronology in which we worked. In 1990, we worked with CDRI. In 1990, we worked with DuPont, Merck, Johnson, Specs Biospecs for the contract research of small molecules. In 1999, Ranbaxy came forward for anti-infective molecules. Then AstraZeneca came for anti-tubercular. Dabur Research Foundation gave us project for anti-cancer new molecules. Alembic Limited gave for antimicrobial, and Piramal Research Center was interested in absolutely new molecules for cancer pharmacology. And then we collaborated last with Claris Life Sciences also. Next. We also worked with the government funding agencies like Board of Radiation and Nuclear Sciences, because this deuterium labeling of pharmaceutical substances is absolutely a new thing. And just before 1 year or before 2 years, the first deuterium labeled drug has come up, and it is approved by the US FDA. But still there is a very good room if any with the very less facility can work on deuterium labeled pharmaceutical compounds. There are good scope on that. We worked on before 5 years, and we worked on a few active pharmaceutical ingredients, and we prepared deuterium labeled pharmaceutical compounds for further testing. We have to understand that the collaborative work can be with the open system also. For example, this open source drug discovery was the initiative by the Department of Science and Technology a few years back. But even today, Lilly Company and DNDi, drugs for neglected diseases, they are very much interested in the new molecules. And particularly the neglected diseases where the multinational companies and giant pharma companies are not interested. The DNDi is giving the young scientist a platform that you can test your compound without any charge, but it will be a collaborative work. So such kind of collaborative effort can be done by any university, any researcher, and we can do many things on this issues. Next. See, during this course of indigenization, what we were able to do many things, and our students who were working with us and later and they have gone in short-term pre-doctoral, doctoral or postdoctoral studies. Out of my 70 PhD students, 35 has gone abroad for short-term or medium-term or long-term research, and they have trained very well on the areas which I have mentioned here, and it was a very good experience for them. After that, they came back to India. They have worked in R&D institutes. They have worked in process chemistry. They have worked and they have put up their individual pharmaceutical companies and bulk drug plants or intermediate or manufacturing units by themselves, and they become self-entrepreneur, which everybody is asking for today in the name of startup and in the name of entrepreneurship or many other government schemes. Next. See, what we learned on this 10, 15 years or 20 years experience, we created a revenue generation. We have done academic research. We also learned how to do a medicinal chemistry. So from simple organic chemist, we have turned into medicinal chemist. From hit to lead and lead optimization stage was also covered. And we learned so many things. New chemistry for deuterium labeling, we learned a lot. Intellectual property and regulatory affair. You will be surprised to know that the offshoot at Saurashtra University was that many of our students who were doing PhD, they were interested in learning intellectual property right. They did the diploma of intellectual property right, and more than 10 to 15 students are absorbed in the best pharma companies as an intellectual IPR experts, and they are now serving as IPR experts. They are not working in the laboratory, but they were very much interested in IPR. So they learned a lot during this period. And many of our old students, they developed non-infringing patentable processes, and which have achieved and fetched good market for them and good supply chain for the intermediates and pharma products. Next. Yeah, this is again a few other important thing. We received US dollar grant support. I got one NIH project for non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors with the other collaborators there. We have a one national facility created. Then we have an intellectual skill uplift among researchers. Students motivated for IP generations, few patents were filed, new funding support came, new state-of-art infrastructure is developed, and many of our students have created their own company in nearby Saurashtra region. In 1990s, there were only 5 to 7 companies. Now, in and around Saurashtra region, due to this culture, which was developed for entrepreneurship and training, more than 50 companies are working around the region. So you can just see that, not going into the number game, but around 50 companies, they are created by our students, our past students, our masters and PhD scholars, and they have become first generation entrepreneurs. So this is the output which has been done during that period. Next. on research front, we did so many things with companies. But if we say about the one-liner outcomes, then with Alembic Chemical, we were able to find out 17 different structures for antibacterial. We developed a molecule which was known as DP7. But in next slide, I will show you how many papers are based on only one molecule and its allied me-too molecules. Number of papers are published, and over 20 years worked on the same molecule. You will be surprised to know. So if you are not leaving your molecules, you are continuing working on that on different aspects. There are number of revelations and research findings which are coming out of that. 2 molecules has gone up to GKO model. Then in Dabur Research Foundation, we developed coumarin molecules for breast cancer. And in Claris Life Sciences, we have given the keto acids. And in NIH, we got grant for non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors. Next. Yeah. Now I would just sum up my things with a few case studies in which you are really interested. This is the molecule, all papers are on site and you can read the papers later on, but the dihydropyridine compound, which are very well known for the cardiovascular activity. Our group in the entire world, first time we reported that these molecules can show multi-drug resistance reverting phenomena, and therefore it can be helpful, particularly when it is given with the cancer drug. So it works as an immunomodulator, and we worked a lot on this, and the entire work is reported as a book chapter in topics in heterocyclic chemistry. So I am not going into the much detail, but it is the 50-page review articles of our own molecules, and one can see that how the things has worked. Next. See, these are the publications on DP7 molecule. And you can see that they are the best journals available, and few of the publications have the highest citation. British Journal of Pharmacology 2004 paper. It was cited so much that it remained for 6 months the highest cited paper. So this is how the continuity of the research work, academic collaboration with the allied biological scientists. So ample opportunities are there. Next. We took one patent also, and this patent was an outcome of our research work with the bioinformatics people at UDCT, Professor V.M. Kulkarni, then Professor Coutinho. In next run, the same molecules were further developed and created again by the group of National Chemical Laboratory, and National Chemical Laboratory people have done the QSR and bioinformatics on that. On basis of that, we made second generation compound, which has found very good in multi-drug resistance tuberculosis. And these molecules are patented in several countries jointly by National Chemical Laboratory, by Professor Coutinho's group and my research group. So this is how certain outcome can come. But one has to pursue the research collaboration continuously, effortless, and continuous efforts are to be made on that. On case study 2, I am putting up the another important molecules, Nicholas Piramal Research Center. And I just want to warn all serious researchers that when you feel that your molecule has some promise, kindly patent it in the first run. What has happened that when we have worked on this molecule, it was come out to be one of the best molecule, but the intellectual property right experts said that the structure of molecules will create a very weak patent and not very strong patent. So the company decided not to patent it at that time, and because it was believed that it will be a weak patent. But after completing this task, one fine morning, the person who has created this molecule, Kuldeep Upadhyay, KUQ is the name on his name. KUQ is the Kuldeep Upadhyay's molecule quinoline number 18. So he telephoned me that the patent has been taken in United States by some other research group because we have not patented that. So the take-home message is that when you have something which is promising, kindly go for early patent so that your research molecule will not go in vain or it is not wasted. So this is how the things are working. So this is the case study molecule KUQ. It was very good in certain aspects. Its biological profile as a cancer pharmacology, it was a most important compound among all compounds which were studied. Next. See, this is the summary sheet of how this KUQ works in the system and in the different models. And we have worked up to zebrafish toxicity also. So it's a real good molecule. Next. Now, the third case study I just want to show, I have already talked about the Piramal research, Claris Life Sciences. Claris Life Sciences was importing 5 different products from China. And the cost of production, cost of importing from China is very, very high. So we have a meeting with the Claris scientist and its policy heads, and we decided to go for developing the indigenous technology in India. And it was a very difficult time for us because to initiate any work, particularly the Chinese, to compete the China, and that too with the 40%, 50% reduced cost. It was a very difficult task, but we took up the challenge. And my research group, all young but not experienced in techno-commercial or technology transfers work, first time we take up the challenge to develop not the research molecule, but the product itself. Many of my students have done the production in mass scale, but not during their PhD study. So this was the first time that it was a challenge for us. So replacing Chinese imports, the attitude we have to change. Academic attitude will not work. Aptitude also we have to change. We have to adapt whatever we learn from our daily experimentation day-to-day basis, and according to that process chemistry is to be changed. And yet we have to satisfy the pharma company because they wanted in timely manner the affordable production method and technology transfer for 5 different products. So there was a mutual trust. You require a mutual trust between the company. Company should understand that it is an academic institute. There are certain hindrances, but simultaneously the brain which are working in the academic institute are far, far better than the multinational company also sometimes. And therefore, if they have a mutual trust and ready to collaborate, and if we keep the confidentiality of this work, then I think that we can achieve in a better manner. So we did all these things. And next, see, we started our process chemistry with the simple starting material. Earlier, we were worked with the pressure reactor, cyanation, cyano compound, and we know that all cyano compounds are very much hazardous because if you are using potassium cyanide or sodium cyanide, it should not work in the in the process chemistry in a long run, particularly in the mass scale. So we have to change our entire attitude and how best we can achieve. So some idea clicked with some student who was just started his PhD work with us, and it was clicked and senior person took it up, and we adopted that. So simple starting material was taken, same adduct was for 4 keto acids. We developed several routes and uniqueness of process with the same starting material. You will be surprised to that 5 end products are different, but all starting materials are same. Then salt formation, which was done in situ with adequate purity. Then purity, we achieved 99.95%, acceptable to the industry. And we were happy that during that period, we had our national facility for drug discovery, where we have all sophisticated instruments like all chromatographic equipment, analysis equipment, 400 megas NMR, we have a single crystal XRD, we have a UPLC. So all testing and monitoring were done on our newly purchased equipment, so that our task has become very easy at that time. And then the acceptable to the industry and pharma standard. And few steps of unit process and operations are involved in this. And we were able to give 4 different technology transfer to the company, where the production cost was 50% less than the Chinese import. So this is how a very small group in Saurashtra University has achieved. And if you convert it into the formulation, then the profit of the company who have been offered this technology transfer was much higher. So we are happy that this technology has worked well, and we were able to learn so many things out of that. Next. The other important thing is that we have learned in our DuPont and Merck experiment that each and every molecule produced by a chemist anywhere in India, in any laboratory in college or university, we need to preserve it, because we are not knowing that whether this molecule will be a future drug, whether this molecule will be a bactericidal, whether this molecule can work as an antibacterial, whether this can be used somewhere in nanotechnology, or it may be used for some other purposes, or it may be used for various aspects of material science. So in Rajkot, we have created a facility for preservation of molecular diversity. Those who have completed their PhD, they can deposit their molecules there. And currently we have a total library of more than 12,000 compounds. I am very happy to share that the parallel and one of the biggest library which was created at Indian Institute of Chemical Technology was the initiatives by Professor J.S. Yadav. And we were both very happy then when we know each other, that I am also creating library at Rajkot, and he was also creating a diverse library in Indian Institute of Chemical Technology. So this is how we created a library, and this library molecules can be asked by the various biologists, and this is what I am calling as a orchestration between the chemical and biological sciences. The biological people always need new molecules to study, and chemistry people, they are not going to study these molecules. So why not to collaborate between chemists and biologists can utilize these molecules and do very important collaborative research work in the drug diseases, in antibacterial, or in any pharmaceutical applications of these molecules. Next. This is how we collect the molecules, preserve it, and stock it. and all molecules are labeled. So this is how the entire process was going on at Saudas University at one point of time. Next. This is the Center of Excellence which was built by the philanthropist money, government money, as well as Government of India, Saudas University's own fund, Industries Commissionerate. It is the 36,000 square feet, 3-floor, with all facilities and instruments at one place, and also a 15 fume, 15 fume hood for the hardcore synthetic organic chemistry work at Saudas University. Next. So this is the time period in which the things has been done. Between 1907 to 13, first phase 10 crore. In next phase we got 13 crore, but ultimately government scheme was stopped. So we didn't get the full amount. Now things are going on for getting the grants from government and to continue the center. Next. I was talking about the collaborative work, DNDi. So it is the drug for neglected diseases. This is the roadmap of between 2015 to 2023. And any scientist, any biologist, any chemist can participate in their program. You can just have to see the website of them, and you can collaborate with them for different work. So this is just for information of the participants, those who want to work collaboratively with the non-profit organizations. This is the non-profit organization. They have come up with few molecules and repurposing of several molecules which were not earlier utilized for the neglected diseases, and now they have developed these molecules for the with the collaborative laboratories world over, scientists world over, institutes world over, and they join hands together to work for affordable drugs for the poor people. So I think that one of the good model, this is also which we have to look at. Next. Now, what should be the strategies for tomorrow? We can have a drug discovery enterprise. We should have a startup, and in several European and American universities, there is a spin-off company. So companies are created within the campus of the university, and university is supporting initially to the entrepreneur till it is commercialized, and it get funds and money from the other sources. So there are good chances to allow spin-off companies from the scientists and academicians from small universities. Formal partnership between industry and academia to grow. National priorities for drug discovery in thrust area. If you read the several documents of recent years and after COVID-19, there are a number of government documents where there is a warning bell on dependency on China. So government is coming out with the several measures to fund the clusters of pharma industries, to initiate certain active pharmaceutical ingredients where we are solely depend on China, particularly in antibiotic, in cancer molecules, in many others. And the government policy says that the companies, entrepreneurs, peoples who are ready to come forward, we are going to support them. So from large cluster to the small pharma, there are ample opportunities to work in this area. We have to find out the national priorities for drug discovery in the thrust area. And very few things has happened in the marine natural product based leads. There are good opportunities in that. Natural product based reverse pharmacology, which is much discussed in several platforms. This is also one of the key area where we can look at, and small companies can develop natural product based reverse pharmacology based new products which can work in the department of Ayush or in the other therapeutic area or immunomodulator, or it can work as a nutritional supplements. Similarly, small molecule synthesis, nano and biotechnological driven sciences, and we can have an outreach of interdisciplinary experts from the industries to achieve what we want to do. Next. I'm just introducing the society which I am heading since last 10 years. This is the Indian Society of Chemists and Biologists. The previous president is none other than our chairman of UGC, Dr. D.P. Singh. He was previous president of Indian Society of Chemists and Biologists, and every year we are arranging an international conference. This year also it will be webinar. It will not be the physical presence. But last February, we were able to do this in Nirma University, and immediately after that, the COVID lockdown came. So we were lucky to have the last international conference at Ahmedabad. But in future, I request all participants to join this conferences, and very important conference. We have several awards to spare to the women scientists, excellence scientists for teachers, young scientists, and many other awards are there. So you can see the website, and this is the contribution so far all these years. Next. These are the few of our students who have worked abroad, and I just wanted to highlight that many of them have come back. They got Rutgers University Fellowship, they got Erasmus Mundus Fellowships, they got the fellowships from Humboldt Fellowship, and they have got Marie Curie Fellowship. So these are the students, they have worked in various countries, and they have achieved very good accomplished research output, and come back and working in the different pharma companies, in the academic institutes, and at different locations. Next. I just want to show the middle, the girl, Hetal Patel. She is working in the Pfizer company, and she is looking after the quality control of the vaccine which Pfizer has developed at its Boston plant. So she is now leader of a group of scientists who are spearheading, and they are looking at the international technology transfer and many other things. So these are the few students who have done tremendous good work. I could show only few of them, but rest of them are also pretty good in their work and their performance. And this is how the opportunities in chemical sciences, in biological sciences, in interdisciplinary sciences, there are ample opportunities. And since I appeal all INDRASIL university students and research scholars that you are in one of the best hand of synthetic organic chemistry, process chemistry, and research driven faculties, and take the best benefit of them, and you have an ample scope to be an entrepreneur, innovator, as well as to be a good researcher and to have a very good career in your future. So I am very happy to share few of my things. I don't know, I have taken much more time than you have expected, but in the flow of speaking, and professors are always habituated to give lectures for several hours. So I could not see the timings, but anyway, I'm sorry for that. But thank you all for giving me this opportunity to interact with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Shah, for a very engaging session. I was just hooked into it. And thank you for giving us a overview starting from right from the history of chemical industries in India. We have two questions here for you. The first one is, I don't have the question, like the person who put this question, his full name. How industrial chemistry will lead students for their bright future in upcoming years, and how government and industries will give opportunities to students.
I think that those who are loving chemistry and not only loving but taking the good training in chemistry will have never ask this question, because I have seen my students and elsewhere also, those who are really interested in chemistry, the chemistry will drive him to the ultimate goal which he wants to achieve. But it will be done only when you will have in night also. If आपको रात को भी केमिस्ट्री के सपने आने चाहिए, जब आपको रात को केमिस्ट्री के सपने आएंगे और आपको बेंजीन का स्ट्रक्चर दिखेगा, केमिकल रिएक्शन का स्ट्रक्चर दिखेगा, कैटालिसिस दिखाई पड़ेगा और प्रोडक्ट्स, कैटालिसिस, रूट्स एंड केमिस्ट्री ड्रिवन आपका ब्रेन के जितने भी क्या बोलते हैं वो इनके साथ हमारे सब न्यूरॉन्स जब जुड़े जाएंगे, तो आई थिंक दैट इंडस्ट्रियल केमिस्ट्री हैज immense opportunity. I know my students who were not knowing much in chemistry, but when they joined in MSc, they took interest in chemistry. But one has to understand that don't bifurcate chemistry. Don't bifurcate the science into compartments. I am a chemistry person, but I am interested in only organic chemistry. Forget it. Physical chemistry, inorganic chemistry, the property of elements, the reactivity of organic molecules, the catalysis, all things will come in a way, and you have to see it in a concerted manner, cohesively and collectively. Then and then I think that you will never have to repent to love chemistry. There are ample scope for the chemistry person, and in COVID-19 you have seen that how many sanitizer manufacturers have come up who were not knowing ABC of chemistry, but they were selling the products. So similarly, you have ample opportunity, and I think that those who love chemistry will never leave them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have one more question, that is from Dr. P.K. Minocha. His question is, how to improve interaction with industry and academic institutes, which is just limited to IITs, UDCT, etc. at present, so that big force of scientists can be utilized more effectively?
I will just share with you what Professor M.M. Sharma, the ardent philosopher of collaboration between industry and academia, has said to me. He said that I have asked my UDCT teachers that go to industrial estate and find out their problems and then try to resolve there. There are ample opportunity on the sustainable development, on various process chemistry, on environmental science, on pollution related problems, that there are a number of scopes which are available. And once we understand their problem and from their point of view, I think that the second is to get their trust that we can deliver them goods and cheaper way and better way, and it will ultimately benefit to them and to the economy of that their manufacturing units. So industry are ready to share with us. They are always ready, but the deliverables are very specific with them. Number one is timeline. Number two is the appropriate technology which is adoptable. If in that plant you say that you have to change the entire plant and it will cost you 2 crore rupees, it will not work. But you will give them some alternate route that by without keeping your plant entirely changing and investing more money in the existing plant, what changes are necessary to achieve the best production, best quality, then definitely industry will come to you. So this is how we have to take the industry into confidence. Manocha sir, I think that you have done so many work with the industry, and you are also one of the person who can answer this question. Thank you.
Just a minute, Dr. Yadav sir also tells us the same thing. Okay, go to the industries, do not share your research work, but ask their problems.
Yes.
And if you solve their problems, they will run after you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session. We will move forward in the program, and for concluding remarks, I want to invite our colleague, Dr. J. Prakash Reddy. Reddy, sir, please.
Mute, unmute.
Unmute
Follow me,
yourself.
madam. Ask him to unmute.
हाँ, प्रकाश सर प्लीज अनम्यूट करिए आपको.
Yeah,
हाँ.
sorry. So thank you, Dr. Polami, and good evening to everyone. So today we have witnessed a sensational lecture from a well-known, renowned scientist and able administrator, Professor Dr. Anamik Shah. So for the last 1 hour or so, I think Sir has ignited our minds with his motivational speech. So in fact, giving so many, I think I was keep on watching every single example with so much exemplary cases, each one studies, and then going through each studies and there through his personal experience and involvement in all of those things, whatever that he discussed, all of us should understand and the need for orchestration. I mean, once this orchestration is done, then wonders can happen, especially given the present scenario of this COVID-19 especially. So those case studies really struck my mind actually. When Sir was discussing each and every case, it was just coming to my mind directly. So I'm sure it will be the same with all the participants as well. So I'm sure with your motivational speech, Sir, we as young researchers, research scholars, students, all in our IU, so listening to this lecture, adopt those values and lessons. So you have certainly enlightened all the participants by showing the new pathways to do creative science, which is very, very important. So you also emphatically mentioned the need for collaboration, emphasized the importance of interdisciplinary research, and showed the beauty of science in an exciting way, really exciting way. So I'm sure all the participants of this lecture are immensely benefited, definitely benefited all of us, and your talk would have revived their research interest. We extend their further research in all possible directions without any limits. So that's what I was always, we always think in the Shell University, how we can extend our research in all possible directions without any borders. So either it can be chemistry, biology, engineering. So we all try to discuss, we discuss quite often, we try to make sure that anything can be done together. So on behalf of all the participants of the webinar, I thank you for giving your valuable time despite your busy schedule and delivering an extraordinary talk. Thank you very much, sir. So Dr. Polami, please.
Thank you. I was struggling with unmuting myself. Thank you, Prakash sir, for the concluding remarks. Now I invite Dr. Ritu Chaudhary, our colleague from Biosciences Division, for a vote of thanks.
Thank you, madam. So, good evening, everyone. On the behalf of our university, I would like to convey my sincere thanks to the speaker, Dr. Professor Anamik Shah. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and giving your valuable time from your busy schedule. Your lecture, your talk was really informative and knowledgeable, and Dr. Prakasha Reddy concluded it very nicely, so I would not repeat it. And I extend my sincere thanks to the persons behind the idea of this Good Coast webinar series, our Vice Chancellor, Dr. J.S. Yadav, and Dean School of Science, Dr. Bharti Dave. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for encouraging all of us and your thorough support. Then thanks to our coordinator, Dr. Nidhi Gaur, who really works very hard to make these webinar very successful. Thank you, our coordinators, Dr. Polomi Sen Gupta and Dr. Hiral Trivedi, all the panelists, our registrar and Dean of School of Engineering, Dr. Amish Vyas, and Dr. Prakasha Reddy. Thank you, everyone. And last not the least, our student, thank you for paying attention and learning. Our technical team, Kandab sir, Anu sir, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone here.
Thank you, Ritu ma'am, for the vote of thanks. I think we are at the last phase of the webinar, and I would sincerely like to thank Professor Anamik Shah for his time, for his effort of being online and giving a lecture to our students. And I think this is all.
Thank
Nidhi ma'am,
you all. Huh?
thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for accepting and coming. It was really wonderful webinar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anamik bhai. Shall we end?
Yes, I think so. I think, ma'am, it is. We are ready to end.
Shashwat, you can close it now.